Namaste. Welcome to this bonus video that you got for coming along to the Women Run Strong Yoga Workshop Day. So this I've recorded especially for you guys to help you to find a little bit more limbering. Some of the things we'll have done on the Saturday, some of them might be new, but just try it and see. So as with all yoga practices, going gently, not pushing or striving. Try to breathe in and out through your nose wherever possible, unless asked to do otherwise. And remember that if you feel any pain or any awkwardness or discomfort, please rest down. And you can always seek advice from me, or perhaps Abba will be able to point you in the right direction, or a really good experienced yoga teacher. Smashing. So let's get started. We're going to start today lying down, which is always nice. So coming down onto your mat and just allowing your back to come down onto the floor. Knees can be pointing upwards and feet on the floor with the arms resting out to the side. And here, if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, you can. But if you prefer, you can just gaze gently towards the ceiling. Take a few breaths here, a few moments to leave behind the rest of your day, to let go of anything that's you're holding on to, maybe an anxiety or a worry or a plan, and bring yourself into the present moment. Notice how your body feels. Notice if you can let go of some of the tension across your forehead, soften the area around your eyes, your tongue, and your jaw. And if you're able to do that, notice how the rest of the body responds by also softening. Become especially aware of any areas where you've got stiffness or holding or a little discomfort. And be sure to take care as you work with those areas today. Notice the breath that you're breathing right now. And we're gently going to deepen that breath. So on your next exhalation, engaging gently across the abdomen to exhale a little more fully. And then breathing deeply into the sides, the back, the chest. And as you breathe out again, engaging gently across the navel, just at the end of your exhalation, to ease a little bit more of air out of the lungs. Breathing deeply into the sides, the collarbones, the shoulder blades. Breathing out slowly and completely. Gently engaging the navel. A long, deep breath in. And a long, slow breath out. Let's do one more. A long, deep breath in. And a long, slow breath out. You can allow your breath to continue in that rhythm if you like, but we're going to start waving our noses from side to side. So if your breath falls back into a natural rhythm, that's okay too. Gently rolling the head from side to side. Let the weight of the head be supported by the floor. Don't lift the head. Just exploring how the neck feels. And then when you're ready, you can bring your head back to center, and we'll gently sway the knees from side to side. So the palms are still open, the upper body is nice and relaxed. The feet are wide apart. Could even be as wide as your mat if you wanted. Just allowing the knees to sway a little. So we get the beginnings of movement across the pelvis, stimulating the fluid in the joints, helps to lubricate our movement. Helping to begin to engage and lengthen those muscles that we want to be active with today. Allow the knees to come back to center. We're going to lift both knees off the floor and let the knees make circles in the same direction. If you want to, you can do this with your hands on your legs. If you find that's more supportive for you, that's okay. Here we're trying to get a little massage across our low back, the tops of the buttocks, the sides of the torso, the hips, the pelvis. Go in both directions. I'm wobbling around all over my mat here. And then we're going to bring the knees back to center and take the knees in opposite directions. So you can begin to sort of lengthen the legs a little bit if you want to, making lovely circles with the knees still, feeling the thigh bones moving in the hip joints. And then we're going to bring our feet back to center. Oh, we need to go in both directions. Absolutely, both directions. And then we're going to bring our feet back to center. Drop the feet to the floor. I'm just going to give myself a little bit more room here. And we're going to keep the left leg down while we make bigger circles with the right knee. So here, you want to maybe engage across the belly just a little bit. Make nice big circles with the right knee, so you feel that you can get all of the movement of your joint in there, your hip joint. Allow your left knee to be stable, and if you want to, you can extend through your right leg a little bit more, so your leg is straighter, but it doesn't need to be straight. We're going to go in both directions, so if you started with a bent knee, start with a bent knee in the opposite direction too. A bent leg can access things a straight leg can't. And then when you're ready, you can straighten your leg a little bit more. And notice if you've got any clunking or clicking, just working with it or around it rather than pressing through it. Bringing your foot back to center. Oh, that feels really nice. So we'll do the same thing on the left side. So we're going to start with nice, maybe start small and build up to bigger circles with the knee nice and bent. And then if you want to, you can begin to extend your left leg. And again, noticing any clunking or clicking, try to work with it. I have to keep my movement a little smaller on this side. And then go in the opposite direction, starting with a bent knee. So we don't want to, clunking and clicking can often be a bone-on-bone action, so we don't want to push through that. We don't want to exacerbate any wear and tear. Lengthening your leg, if you would like to. Do the circles with a lengthened leg as well. And then when you're ready, just allowing the left foot to come to the floor. Very nice. We're going to take the feet a little bit wider still. And then this time we're going to sway the knees from side to side, but allow them to go a little bit further, perhaps towards a spinal twist. So as you do this, you don't need to engage firmly across the belly, but a gentle engagement there will help you to feel when you're lengthening. This is particularly good for the hip flexors. There's more than one set of hip flexors, but let's say the iliopsoas here. Just gently one side to the other. We're not trying to get anywhere. We're going to come back at the end of the class and do a stretch or a lengthen in this position. So one more to the opposite side, and then coming back to center. And now we're going to lengthen the right leg, lift the right leg up, draw the leg back towards you as much as you feel able to, slightly lengthened here. A little softness in the knee won't hurt. And then we're going to bend at the right knee and place the right ankle or the lowest part of the shin over the left thigh. Here, we're going to draw the left knee towards us. So a figure four stretch, but without holding on if you can. If you need to hold on, that's okay. We're just gently going to sway the left knee from side to side a few times. You can feel the fan-shaped muscles in the buttocks being accessed by the different areas of the movement, and then making circles with the left knee. There's a lot of circling. We're really massaging our low backs here. And in the opposite direction. And then finally allowing your left foot to come to the floor Allow your left knee to fall towards the left and the right leg to follow. So the right foot stays in position. Just taking a deep breath in here. And a long, slow breath out. Lovely job. Coming back to center, we're going to uncross the legs. And in the center of this movement, we're going to do a little bridge pose. So for your bridge pose, you might want to try this once with the feet pointing straight and once with the feet pointing out. So whichever one you want to do this time, let's do feet straight. Elbows down by the sides of the body so that the upper arms, the shoulders, the back of the neck can all press down, press into the feet, lifting the hips up. And here in this position, circling the hips. So like you're doing the hula hoop, trying to keep the hips a little bit off the floor at the bottom of the movement and circling the opposite way as well. At the same time, supporting this movement with the heels pressing down and the elbows and the shoulders as well. Coming back to center, releasing down. We're just going to lengthen the legs up towards the ceiling for a moment and wave our soles of the feet, and we lengthen the arms, wave the palms of the hands as well up towards the ceiling. There we are, roll at the wrists, roll at the ankles. And then we're going to float the right foot to the floor, cross the left leg over the right leg, and draw the right knee towards us. And make our swaying from side to side. So figure four, but with a sway that helps us access parts of the length across the buttocks and the outside of the hip that a linear stretch doesn't allow. And then nice big circles with our knees, or with the right knee at least, and in the opposite direction too. And when you're ready, you can float the right foot to the floor. And we're going to allow the right knee to come out to the right, left foot to follow. And just wherever you get to, taking a long, deep breath in, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the face. And a long, slow breath out. Good job. We're going to float the right knee back to center, uncross the legs. Take the toes and point them out ever so slightly. Press down with the elbows and the upper arms. Press into the heels to lift the hips. And do our circling, our hula hooping action in bridge pose. A few times in one direction. And a few times in the other. And your hip flexors will love you for this. Okie dokie. Coming back to center, allowing the hips to come down to the mat. We're going to bring the knees into the chest one at a time. And then our final action here on the floor is to lengthen the legs. So it doesn't matter how long they are, they don't need to be straight. And it doesn't matter how far up towards the ceiling they are, it's not about the shape you make. So we're going to take our hands to our inner thighs and take the feet as far apart as feels really comfortable. So we don't want to strain. We don't really want a massive amount of stretch here because it's not useful at this point in the class. Okay, we're going to warm up really well first. So when your feet are a comfortable distance apart, we're just gently going to wobble on our bottoms or low backs from side to side, holding onto the inner thighs for a bit of support. And sometimes that action of just a little bit of pressure on the inner thighs can help those muscles to release a little deeper, but we're not pushing right now, okay? We may come back to that, or you may need to check out one of the more advanced videos on my channel, which is about the hips. Okay, coming back to center, we're going to bend the knees a little bit more, slide our hands around to the outer thighs and draw the knees together using our arms. Just let the feet relax, holding the backs of the knees and rocking backwards and forwards through the length of your spine. Catching yourself at the top of your movement, so on your sit bones or your buttocks, before rolling back down and up. And if you can, try to get that sense of balance every time you come up to your sit bones, whilst we massage more through the length of the spine from the hips all the way to the shoulder blades. Let's do one more. At the top of this movement, try and catch yourself. If you've got your hands underneath the back of your knees, lifting your lower legs, your shins a little higher. And if you want to, you can lengthen through the crown of your head and see if your arms will come away from your knees, holding a boat pose for a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Catch the knees again and the feet come to the floor. Very good. Awesome stuff. So as we come into this new position, we're going to take a moment sitting, allow the spine to organize itself in this new position, and closing the eyes or gazing gently downward, just take a deep breath in. Notice the effects of your practice and a deep breath out. Brilliant. So if you're not comfortable sitting cross-legged, you don't have to. You can sit with the feet apart or even with the knees a little bit further apart. And so this sort of lengthened leg, but allowing the knees to relax a little bit, the ankles to relax a little bit, can also let you sit very tall. You don't need to have your legs all the way folded in. Try to avoid sitting with your legs long and straight and slouching at the same time. Because if you sit like this for a prolonged period of time, it's not also very useful for the longer term. It's great if you do a little bit of it, just not too much. Okay, so resting your hands wherever feels comfortable, drawing the spine upright, and we'll just bring our chins towards our chest, give the neck a little bit of an extra stretch here. And here, rolling the right ear towards the right shoulder, and chin back to chest, left ear to left shoulder, and chin to chest. Going a few times to each side. That feels really nice. And if it doesn't feel good, making the movement different, making it something that feels good for you. If you want to, you can roll the left ear to the left shoulder and then lift your chin and take your right ear over to your right shoulder. A little bit more like a circle, but only if it feels good, doing a few in each direction. Again, choosing things that feel nice, that feel like a good movement to you. When you're ready, bringing your head back to center, make some shoulder rolls. We're going to do a few little bits and pieces with our upper body, so we want to prepare as well there. So you can roll in both directions. And then when you're ready, keeping your elbows nice and soft, rolling the arms alternately, just like we did with our legs on the floor. Keeping the elbows soft helps us to access a little bit more of the shoulders movement. We can go in both directions. You'll notice that it's easier to do if you move your torso as well. The movements of the arms are so connected into the sides of the body, the chest, the back, the shoulders, the neck. And then coming back to center. And just to provide a little bit of length across the shoulders here, or the chest rather, we're going to interlace the fingers, press the palms of the hands away, and then lengthen the arms up over the head. And you might feel the lift of the shoulders. And if you do, that's okay. So feel that lift first, and then allow your shoulders to come down, but keep the length in your arms. Allow your neck to be free here. Maybe turn the head from side to side, feel how it feels. Coming back to center, and we're just gently going to find a little sway from side to side. And where the swaying from side to side feels good, you can try a little circle here. So imagine you're drawing a circle with the palms of the hands. I put hand cream on, which was a bad move. My hands are getting really slippy. But a circle with the palms of the hands on the ceiling. And just allowing the torso to follow, allowing the movement of the legs as well. You're not rigid in your legs or in your sit bones or your pelvis. Just weeble and wobble. There we are. When you've done a few in each direction, separating the hands, letting the arms float down. Hopefully that feels great. We're going to take the hands behind us and interlace the fingers. I'm just turning so that you can see. So interlacing the fingers, rolling the shoulder blades towards each other. And we want to lengthen the arms a little, but without locking the arms straight. So lengthening the arms a little and play with how bent your elbows can be and how straight they can be, and the feeling across the front of the chest and the front of the shoulders, the bottom of the neck, the space across the top of the shoulders. Then from here, we're going to slide the left hand, or the right hand rather, the left hand over to the right hip. So behind you, the back of your hand and the forearm is against the low back, and this right elbow is like a chicken wing out to the side. And we're going to tuck that chicken wing in so that we get a sense of openness across the front of the body. You can turn your head gently from side to side. I know lots of people get shortness in their pectoral muscles, tightness in the front of the body. And then bringing the chin towards the chest and just rolling the right ear towards the right shoulder, and then chin to chest. So a little quarter circle to further find space and length across the left side of the chest. Come back to center, release your arms behind you so that you can play with that bending and straightening and bringing the elbows closer together and apart. And then we're going to slide the back of the right hand to the left hip behind you, and then tuck your left chicken wing in. And first begin with just a little gentle turn from one side to the other. You can do this standing up if you prefer, sitting in a chair if you prefer. Then chin to chest and rolling the left ear towards the left shoulder and chin to chest. So a little quarter circle. Just feeling how that then feels into the arm, into the right shoulder. And when you're ready, bringing your head back to center, release your arms behind you, relax your arms down, and then separate the hands. And you can shake out the wrists, or you can roll the wrists, shake out the fingers, shake out the arms. Just feel that blossoming warmth across the chest with the space that you've created there. Fantastic stuff. So I'm going to switch myself in position now to point to the front of my mat, or the short end of my mat. And actually, I'm going to do it the opposite way around. Sorry about that. I'm going to point towards this end of my mat. And I've got my blocks set up at the other end because that's where I'm going to go. If you need to move your camera or your screen so that you can see the side edge of your mat, it's probably best. So from here, we've done quite a lot of opening. We're going to do a little side bending. So taking your left hand down to your left side and reaching your right arm over and allowing the right buttock to peel off the floor a little bit. We're going to come back to center and reach to the opposite side. Allow your left buttock to come up away from the floor a little. So just a gentle sway from side to side. And then this time, when we come up, just want to make sure that everyone's got the same leg in front in their cross-leg position. Or if you don't have your legs crossed, it won't matter so much. But if you've got your left leg in front, that's where we want to be. So left leg in front, and we're going to take the right hand down behind us. So we're twisting to the right hand comes to the floor. We pivot on our toes and come into a little crouch with the left hand on the floor as well. So here in this crouch, we're just going to gently rock ourselves from one side to the other. And it doesn't matter if your heels are on the floor, if they're off the floor. It doesn't matter if your crouch is happening much higher up. It will be whatever your hips, the space in your hips and your legs and your back allows. Okay. So from here, we're going to reach the hands a lot further forward. And we're going to peel the hips up towards the ceiling and pivot on the toes. So the toes will point in the direction of the hands and lengthen through the backs of the legs
as much as you feel able to do to bring the heels towards the floor. And I expect lots of people will have their heels away from the floor. That's no problem at all. Press into the palms of your hands. So really press away like you've done a push-up, and then keep that press and bend your right knee as you extend your left heel towards the mat. Come up onto tiptoes, bend your left knee as you extend your right heel down, side to side, walking your dog. Now my feet have ended up really far apart, so I'm going to step them a little closer together, and you might need to do the same. So this is our first down dog of the day, so we're just exploring it. We don't expect our movement to be at its fullest yet, because we're still warming the body. And if you want to, you can gently turn your head from side to side, or make the movement come, this little sort of gentle undulation, paddling, come through the shoulders as well as the hips. And then we're just gently going to float our knees down to the mat, so we come into hands and knees position. So if you need to, here is a good time to put something underneath the knees to provide a little bit of softening, a little bit of cushioning, particularly if your knees are sensitive. We're going to take the knees quite far apart, and the feet will follow, and then make big stirring circles with our hips. So imagining we're drawing a circle on the floor with our belly buttons, circling in one direction, and then circling in the opposite direction. Excellent. Then when you're ready, you can come back to center. We're going to bring the knees more towards each other and do something called a waving vinyasa. We're going to do a small one of these to begin with. So toes are tucked under. I've moved my hands slightly in front of my head, or about where my head is. And we're going to do a little cat pose to begin with. So as you inhale, look forward and lift your tailbone, lift your chest. And as you exhale, round through the spine, tuck the chin towards the chest. Inhaling forward first, lengthening the front of the body, lifting the abdomen slightly, and exhaling, rounding through the back of the body, tucking the tailbone under. And inhaling one more forward. And exhaling back. This time, drop the hips towards the heels as you exhale down. And as you inhale, we're going to press off the feet, round through the back, look towards your knees for as long as you can until your shoulders come over your hands, and then we're going to look forward. Imagine you're dragging the heels of your hands backwards to open your chest. Keep the buttock muscles working, and then press through the hands and drop the hips back down to the heels. So as you inhale, you press forwards, rounding through the back. As the shoulders come over the hands, you exhale, and the hips come down towards the mat a little as the chest opens, elbows are bent, and then inhaling up and exhaling back. One more, inhaling forward, rounding through the upper back. Exhaling as you open your chest, soften the elbows, pliable there, and then inhaling back to hands and knees, and exhaling hips back to the heels. Very good. Now we'll come back up to hands and knees, and we're just going to pad our hands back towards us with the toes still tucked under, and see if we can rest our hips onto our heels, or our buttocks onto our heels. So here, that might be very intense for you, and if it is, you can bring yourself up away from your heels, and if you want to, you can further tuck your toes under if they need a little bit of help to get there. And from this up position, you can gently come into the posture, hold for as long as you feel comfortable doing that, and then come out and come back in again. But if you're happy to sit and hold, sit and hold. It's a great stretch for the bottoms of the feet. We'll take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. Very good. We're going to walk our hands forwards, and we're going to bring our knees together. You can tuck your toe, untuck your toes, and just circle your ankles a few times while we're here. That's nice. Nice to release. So here we're going to bring our knees together, and if you want to, you can turn your fingers out a little bit. Sometimes that helps to
keep the chest lifted. We're going to tuck the right foot, inhale the right heel up behind us as we look forward, and then exhale as we round through the spine and draw the right knee towards the right chest and lift the heel towards the buttock as well. Inhaling up, opening the chest, heel up, head up. Exhaling, rounding under. One more. Inhaling up and exhaling, rounding under. This time with a straight leg. Inhaling up and exhale, rounding under. Inhaling, lengthen that leg. Exhaling, scooping the belly in as you do. Inhale, lengthen the leg behind you. I'm going to tuck my left toes because I prefer it. And exhale the right foot to the floor. Here, we're going to do a little sweeping movement. So we're going to sweep the right foot around the right side of the body towards the right hand. It doesn't have to go that far. And then sweep the right foot around to the left side of the body. Maybe look to the left to find that little sense of extra length. Inhaling as we sweep the right foot towards the right hand. Exhaling as we sweep the right foot behind the body to the left. One more. Inhaling forward. And exhaling around. Now, if you are happy with the foot on the floor, you can stick with doing that. If you want to try something a little bit more, if you're an experienced yogi, you might want to do this with the foot off the floor. Inhaling the foot as high up off the floor towards the right hand as you can, and then back in a nice big rainbow over to the left side. So we'll do two more like this. And at the same time, press your hands slightly away from each other so that they support your chest. So the chest isn't collapsed rather. Very good. And then we're all going to finish with the right foot towards the right hand as much as feels comfortable. And then we're going to pad our hands back towards us and kneel up with the right foot out to the right side. Now mine's come too far forward. I really want it out to my right side here. Let me just shift. There we are. And if you want, you can grab a block here to put down on your left side. I'm going to do this facing you guys so that you have more of an idea of what I'm talking about. Which means I'm going to have to swap legs. Hold on. There we are. Okay. So you've got your right foot out to your right side. Doesn't matter if it's lined up exactly with your left knee. What we want to try and avoid is either sagging the left hip to the left or the left hip to the right. So trying just to line up a little bit with the knee underneath your left hip. If your right foot prefers to point slightly out the way rather than forwards, that's okay too. Just do what your hips like the most. We're going to do gate pose. So here, we want to find a little tuck of the pelvis, a little action on that left buttock. Breathe in, reach the arms out and up. And as you breathe out, let your right arm come down to your right leg, palm turned upwards, and reach the left arm just a little over. Breathe in back to the center. We're going back the same way. Breathing out as you lean into the right, opening up that left side of the body. Breathing in back to center and breathing out to the right. This time, we're going to breathe in back to center and we're going to breathe out to the left. So if you've got your block there, you can place it underneath your hand and reach your right foot and hand away from each other as you go to the left. We're going to breathe in back to the center and breathing out to the left. You can go all the way to the floor if you want to. Breathing in back to the center and breathing out. Excellent stuff. Coming back to the center, and then we're just going to get a little bit pliable on this right leg. So if you want to, you can turn your right toes out and just do a little bouncing to open the space underneath the pelvis. Doesn't matter what the hands do here, they can do anything you like. A little bit of a bounce here, and then when you're ready, press off the right foot and bring your right knee next to your left knee. And I will turn this way again. So we're back. We're going to tuck the toes flat and just settle back onto the heels, but with the toes flat underneath. Now, if that isn't so comfortable for you, just come back as far as feels comfortable by supporting your body a little bit forward so you find your way to wherever it is. And it might be that your knees are not terribly comfortable in kneeling positions, and that's okay. So if that's the case, find a resting position that works for you. It could just be sitting. It could be that you lean forward onto your hands a little bit. You could find child's pose with the forehead on the floor if you like. We're going to take a couple of deep breaths. Now, for those of you who are comfortable sitting on your heels, you can explore how far you are comfortable sitting on your heels. So it might be that if you lean a little bit backwards, that's enough. Maybe that's intense enough. We don't want to push, remember? But if you've got room and you need to stretch your ankles a little bit more, you can float your knees off the floor, and that will help to just lengthen the space at the top of the foot where it joins the ankle, and maybe into the toes a little bit as well. And then we'll come back to kneeling, and everybody's going to come back. We'll join up on our hands and knees to do the same thing with our left foot. So here we've got the right toes tucked under. We're going to inhale the left heel up, looking forward, and exhale, rounding through the spine. We call this the tiger in yoga. Inhaling left heel up, looking forward. Exhaling, rounding through the spine, chin to chest. Inhaling one more. And exhaling. Now with a straight leg, inhaling the left leg up. Exhaling, rounding under. Inhaling left leg long and straight if you can. Exhaling, rounding under. One more, lengthening the front of the body as you inhale, lengthening the back of the body as you exhale. Then we're going to inhale the left leg long and exhale, place the foot on the floor. Inhale as you sweep the left toes towards the left hand, and exhale as you sweep the toes across the floor to the right side of the body. Look to the right. Inhaling to the left, exhaling to the right. Inhaling and exhaling. Now, if that is your level and you like it, stick with it. And if you want to do a little bit more, inhale as you lengthen the left leg up and then bring it to the left side of the body. And then exhale all the way and up and over in a nice big rainbow. Two more like that. Finding the articulation of the hip, pressing the hands slightly away from each other so the chest doesn't collapse, keeping the chest open. Last one. And then we're all going to finish with the left foot towards the left hand as much as feels comfortable, walking the hands back towards the body to lift to be upright. And I'm going to turn to face towards you again for our gate pose. Swap my legs, but you won't have to swap yours. So if you want to have a block by your right side, you can. We want to check that the right leg, the hip is over the knee, and the left toes can point forward or out or all the way to the side if you like. So let's start with our gate pose. Little tuck under the pelvis, little firmness in the belly, breathing in, reaching the arms up. And as you breathe out, reach the left arm down to the left leg and reach the right hand over. Breathing in back to the center. Breathing out to the left. Breathing in back to the center. Breathing out to the left. Breathing in back to the center, and this time to the right. Breathing out, taking the right hand down to whatever you want to use, reaching the left hand and foot away from each other. Press off the right hand into center, breathing in, and breathing out as you reach over to the right. Breathing into center, and breathing out, reaching over to the right. Very good. Breathing in back to center. And now we're going to let our arms do whatever they want to. I'm going to turn my right toes out, left toes out even, and do a little opening across the pelvis here. Just a little light lunging. So going to where feels good for you, and it might be a smaller movement, that's okay. The shape doesn't matter, it's how it feels that matters. And then once we've built up this bounce, this pliability, you can press off the left foot and bring your knee back towards you. Very good. And then we can find a comfortable position. So it might be with the heels, the buttocks on the heels with the toes tucked under, and it might be that the toes are flexed, buttocks on the heels here. And it might be something else entirely. Whichever position it is, bringing the backs of your hands together, press them towards each other and just rolling through your wrists. Very good. Awesome sauce. So we're going to come from here back into our downward facing dog. And so we're taking our knees a little bit further back, toes are tucked, press through the hands, press the chest towards the knees, and then extend the legs so that the hips come up. Now, it doesn't matter here if the heels don't touch the floor, but just spend a moment or two paddling through your knees, paddling through your heels. Then we're going to take our feet a little bit wider, drop your heels to your left side, and then bend your knees deeply, keeping your hands where they are, and straighten your legs. Come up onto your tiptoes, drop your heels to your right side, bend your knees deeply, and then straighten your legs. Do one more to each side. This is a really nice sort of squatting version of the down dog, which is really lovely to access some of those spaces across the outside of the hips, the bottom of the torso. Coming back to center. Okay, so here we're going to come into a lunge, and that some people can do easily from downward dog, and some people find it a little bit tougher. So I'm going to show you two different ways. So softly bend the knees so you're feeling a bit bouncy in the buttocks. And you're going to press off the toes, bring your shoulders towards your hands, and then bounce back. So your knees are really bent. Press off the toes, shoulders to hands, and back. And we'll do one more. And then we're going to try, press off the toes, bring the right foot forwards at the same time, coming into your lunge. I'm going to press up, back into a plank position, taking the right foot back again, through downward dog, and then drop the buttocks to the heels. Let's do the same thing to the other side. We'll bounce forwards first once, and back. And then this time pressing off the toes, bringing the left foot, forward to the hands into your lunge. And then from the lunge, take your foot back so you're in plank pose, and then downward dog, and then drop the buttocks to the heels. So it might be that bouncing forward suits you. Your other option is to do a three-legged dog variation. So for this one, taking the right foot back, we're going to lift the right leg up. So we've got the left hand, right hand, left foot on the floor, right leg lifted. Here, bend both knees and get a bit bouncy. So you bend and lengthen both knees. And then when you're ready, just stepping the right foot forward. So it's a little sort of swing action to find the front of the mat. It's less, maybe more graceful for some. I find it a little less graceful. We're going to come back through plank and back to downward facing dog and do the same thing with the other side. So left leg lifted, bend the left knee and the right knee to lengthen and bend, lengthen and bend. Find a little lift, and when you're ready, swing your left foot all the way forward to your hands and drop your back knee down. So from here, we're coming back to plank. Whew. And we're going to take a little rest on our tummies by dropping the knees, the chest, and the forehead to the back of the hands. Allow the tops of the feet to rest towards the mat, the toes to fall towards each other, the heels apart. Let's take a deep breath in and a long, slow breath out. If you feel that you need to, you can sigh out through your mouth. One more time. Very good. So from here, we're going to do a little Cobra Pose. So on your mat, bring your thighs towards each other.
Bring your heels not together, but don't let them flop out to the side, so towards each other. Press the pubic bone down, firm the belly, take your hands wide up off the mat and about chest height. We're going to gently draw the shoulder blades towards each other, pressing down with the tops of the feet and the pubic bone and the hands to peel the upper body off the floor, but keeping the lower body nice and stable. Then here, gently sway your nose from side to side. So the elbows are bent, they're not locked straight. The shoulders are down, they're not hunched up around the ears. And we're just looking from side to side. And then when you're ready, coming back to the center, lowering all the way down. Very nice. From here, we're going to come back onto hands and knees. And then up into downward dog to come into our lunges. So tucking the toes, hips up, heels towards the floor. You can have your feet together if you're doing the three-legged dog swinging leg variation, or you can have your feet slightly further apart if you're bouncing forwards and backwards. However you're getting there, step your right foot forward so that you drop your left knee to the mat and you're in a lunge. So our lunge might be with our hands on the floor, but we've got two blocks or some sort of support, which will give us a little bit of lift in the upper body if you need it, if you just need a little bit of room between, a little bit of extra space or support between you and the floor. So here, with the hands on whatever they're on, the back toe tucked under if possible, we're going to keep the left knee on the mat and just swing our hips back towards our heels. The right toes can stay towards the floor as well, and then swing our hips forwards. This time swinging back, let the right toes come up. And so we're lengthening through the back of the right leg. Toes stay down or toes stay up, as you choose. So we're going backwards and forwards, just a few times. And then whichever variation you prefer, so for me it's toes up. When you get there, just gently swinging your hips from side to side. And what this does is, again, the hamstrings, there's not just one of them. So it helps us to access more of the length across the hamstrings here. And it might be that we swing our hips forwards a little bit, and we do a little rocking from side to side here as well, for the same reason as it accesses different places in the leg behind us. Then we're going to lift the back knee off the floor, and we're going to float between front and back. And you can float your hips out to the side or in a more linear position if that suits you. Just floating from back to front, using the support of your hands. And then when you're ready, bringing the left knee down to the mat again. We're going to make sure that there's not too much distance between the left knee and the right heel. Press down into the feet and roll the spine upwards so that you've got a lovely open chest. And it's more like a proposal position than a really deep lunge. Here, we're going to breathe in, take the elbows wide and open the chest, tuck the tailbone under, just activate the buttocks, and breathing out, relaxing the arms, coming back to a more upright position. Breathing in, opening the chest, feeling the support in the back of the body, breathing out as we release. One more, breathing in, and breathing out. Let's leave our right hands down on our right thigh. We're going to breathe in, reach the left hand up and over to the right side as we exhale. Breathe in back to center. Breathing out over to the right. Breathe in back to center. Breathing out over to the right. Breathe in back to center and breathe out and down. Now, if you want to, you can open the space between the front and back thigh so that you can feel a little bit more length underneath the body. But again, we want to make sure that we're not striving or pushing too much. If you feel more comfortable with your back toe down, you can keep your back toe down.
And here, if you want to, you can bring your right foot out to the right side and just point your right toes slightly out to the right. And you can move backwards and forwards here. That again opens a different space in the front of the pelvis. There are so many things we could do, guys. We just don't have the time to do everything. But we're going to come back to the center now. Tuck the toes, lengthen the back leg, and then sweep that right leg all the way up into a three-legged dog if you can. Rotate your foot at the ankle a few times in one direction and a few times in the other direction. Float the right foot to the floor, paddle through your heels if you need to, rock through your upper body. When you're ready, taking a few bounces or lifting your left leg and stepping your left foot forward into your lunge. Finding that good position of the lunge for you, using blocks if you need to. And with the back knee, that's the right knee down, we're just going to float the hips backwards and forwards. Here, you could quite easily do circles. Floating backwards and forwards is what we're doing today. Alternating between lifting the heel, lifting the toes or keeping the toes down. When you get a few of these done and you're in the position that works for you the best, when you've got your hips back towards your heels, just doing a little rock from side to side. And remember, don't push. So if something feels really tight, give it a bit more space by bending the front knee or coming a little bit out. Very good. And then as you come forward, perhaps you want to do also a little rock from side to side. I find that's more useful on this side than the other for me. And if it doesn't work for you, don't do it. We're going to keep the hands down. I sometimes like to rest my fingers by making fists instead and lift the knee of the back leg and just float between these two lengthening positions. So lengthening the back leg and then the front leg, just finding that movement, that pliability, that mobility between the two. When you're ready, you can bring your right knee back down to the mat and make sure it's not too far back so that you haven't got too much space between the front foot and the back knee. Press down into both feet and roll the spine upright. Excellent. We're going to inhale as we open the chest, firm the belly, firm the buttocks, firm the belly, and exhaling back to upright. You can relax your arms in between. Inhaling, opening the chest, elbows broad, exhaling back to center. Inhaling, feel the strength in the back leg, exhaling back to center. Left hand down on left thigh, inhale the right hand up, and exhale as you reach over to the left. Back to center and down. Inhale, reaching up, exhaling over, back to center and down. Inhaling, reaching up, exhaling over, back to center. And then here, if you want to, you can step your back knee a little bit further back, make your lunge position a little wider. You can tuck your back toe flat as well if you want to. Here, that might feel like it's really nice for you. You might want to maybe bend and lengthen the back leg. Some people prefer that. You can turn your left toes out to the left and find a little backwards and forwards movement that has that left slant to it, that left diagonal line, which may indeed just reach places that other poses haven't reached so far. When you're ready, bringing your left foot back to the center, lengthen your back leg, sweep your front leg back and up so you have three-legged dog. Roll your foot at the ankle a few times in one direction, a few times in the other, before reaching that foot down. So here we go. Our final pose in this position is the pigeon pose. So from your downward facing dog pose, making any adjustments you need to. You might need to soften the knees and wiggle the hips from side to side or turn your head. And then when you're ready, lifting your right leg not so high, just back, and then sliding your right knee forward towards your hands. And first, start with your right heel right underneath your right thigh. And it's perhaps a little better if I turn slightly sideways so you can see. So starting with the right heel right underneath the right thigh, and perhaps that feels good there. And then if it feels good, you can open your foot a little bit out to the left side. And if it feels good, you can open your foot further out to the left side. Some people feel really comfortable with their shins parallel to the short edge of their mat. For me, my hips just don't do that, and I've been doing yoga a really long time. So finding the place that works the best for you. We're maybe lean slightly forwards here, but you can use your supports if you need a little bit more height. We're going to try and keep the back toe tucked under at the moment and the back knee on the floor, and just find a little side to side movement. Okay, so a little movement from side to side. Whoops, she says. And it might be that you do that by shifting your knee, your back knee from side to side as well. That's okay. And it might be that you just go up and down, not side to side. That might feel good as well. For those of you who feel like you need a little bit more of a stretch on your quadriceps, you can find your stability in your front and then bend your back heel in and reach back to hold it, either with your right or left hand. It doesn't matter which. And you can ease your heel towards your buttock a little and try, maybe that is just the ticket. Or flex your heel and gently rock your foot from side to side like you were wagging a tail. And actually that I find a little bit easier with this hand. Super duper. So I've got my left foot in my left hand for wagging my tail. So if you don't need to hold on to get your stretch, you might just be here, and that's all good. If you want to do a little bit more for your buttock and your sort of the outside of your pelvis, you can come forward onto your hands if that feels, forearms first, if that feels good to you. And here it might be that you have got a little negotiating that you can do with your upper body. And some people keep their hands on the floor but nice and wide and get a sort of a twisty feeling going across the upper body, which is nice. I like to also roll my right buttock towards the floor because it gets to a space that I can't get just by folding straight forward over the legs. And so with the right buttock on the floor, I can really get into those places that I can't reach otherwise. So try all of these variations and there'll be one that suits you well. For those who are very comfortable in the pose, you might want to fold all the way forward. The further away from you your arms are, the more intense the stretch, the more challenging the pose. So take care to just work at a level that really feels comfortable to you. And with some practice, of course, we can build into lengthening with our pigeon pose. We don't get there all in one go. To come out, we're going to bring our hands either side of our knee, tuck the back toes under, press through the back heel, press through the hands, extend the right leg into a three-legged dog, or rotate 3 times at the ankle in one direction, and then the other. Float this foot to the floor, and then do a little paddling through the legs, maybe a little undulation through the shoulders as well, maybe looking from side to side with the head. When you're ready, you can work to the opposite side. So the right heel comes towards the floor, lifting the left leg just a little, sliding the left knee forward and starting with the heel underneath the thigh or the buttock as you slide the right knee back behind you. So this might be the perfect pose for your knee. And for those of us who have really sensitive knees, then this variation of pigeon is much better than the open-legged variation. But if you want to, you can begin to explore moving the left heel towards the right side of the body until you get to wherever is good for you. As I say, some people can do it very easily with their hip rotation there. Personally, I'm around about here. And we can begin by just shifting the hips from side to side. So a little flexion on your front foot will help to protect your front knee. And you're just floating the back knee side to side as well, perhaps away from the floor and down. And then if you want to, you can come up and down. Remember that you can also use the bricks underneath your hands. So we call this an active pigeon. We're not just resting in it, we're working with it. And then finding a spot that feels comfortable to rest. If you need a little extra stretch on your quadricep, you can bend your right foot in, catch hold of it with the right hand or the left hand. I'm just about to give myself a cramp, sorry. So that means that I've tried too hard with my hamstring. There we are. So thinking about lengthening out the quadricep, drawing the heel towards the buttock, or if you want to, you can flex the foot and gently sway your foot from side to side to do a little bit of a wag with your tail. Super. And then when you're ready, you can release that. And I like to also fold my left hip to the floor, as I said, but you may prefer not to. And then finding if maybe a little bit more forward folding is going to access the place that you need. You don't have to go far, you don't have to go down at all. In fact, there are lots of yoga teachers who wouldn't recommend that for people who are really open in the hips, myself included. But for runners, where your hips tend to be a little stronger, a little bit more closed, it can be quite good. Swaying the torso from side to side if you want to, folding a little bit more forward if you want to as well. Take a moment to rest in whichever posture you enjoy the most of these options, and take a couple of deep breaths. When you're ready, you can place your hands either side of your left knee, tuck your back toes under, extend through your back leg, pressing the heel to the floor, pressing into the hands, lengthening the left leg up, rotating the foot at the ankle a few times in each direction, long straight leg, and then floating this foot down to the floor. We're going to take a paddle in our dog a few times, and then we're very gently going to walk our feet towards our hands and turn the toes as far out as feels comfortable to drop the hips towards the floor into a squat pose. So here, it doesn't matter if you're here, it doesn't matter if you're using your supports, it doesn't matter if you're on your toes. Do whatever version of the squat works for you. Pressing the palms together if you can, and the elbows or upper arms into the inside of the legs. If you want to give yourself a little sway from side to side here, you can as well. And when you're ready, gently reaching behind you to come back to lying down on the mat. And if you need to transition in a different way, you can, of course. Whew. My trousers are way too good. Okay, so feet coming down to the floor, resting the arms away from the body, allowing the spine to organize itself in this new position. If you need to here, taking a deep breath in, sighing out through the mouth. Relaxing the forehead, the area around the eyes, the tongue and the jaw. And then when you're ready, with the feet nice and wide, so about the width of your mat, just gently swaying the knees from one side to the other. Feel all of the space now that you have in your pelvis, your hips, in your back, in your abdomen. And then when you're ready, allow the knees to fall all the way to the right side and just stay wherever they fall. Now here we're going to try and let the legs be comfortable and reach the left arm over, peeling the left side of the body off the floor so that we've got one hand on top of the other. And then with your head on the floor, reaching the left arm up and over the head and around behind you in a nice big sweeping circle. The left side of the back comes back to the mat. And then we reach the hand over, peel the upper back away from the floor again. So we're on circle number 2. And on circle number 3, we're going to rest the left arm by the side of the head, the left side of the head, when it reaches the floor again. So we've got the left arm over the head, right arm out to the side,
And now we can, if you've got space, press the inner left thigh a little bit more towards the floor, the inside of the left foot as well. And just see if that opens up a little space across the outside of the pelvis or the inside of the pelvis. If you've got more space still, you can rest your right foot on top of your left thigh, and it will gently aid gravity in drawing the left inner thigh towards the floor. Wherever you are, take a deep breath in. And a long, slow breath out. Let's do one more deep breath in. And a long, slow breath out. Very gently uncross the legs if they're crossed. Bring the left arm down to the left side. Bring the knees back to the center. And gently sway the knees just a little bit from side to side to ease off any tension, any excessive stretch. If you feel like you did too much on that side, be sure not to do too much on this side. Let the knees come all the way down to the left side of the body. Keeping the legs where they are, reach the right hand over to the left hand so you peel the upper back off the floor, rest the head down. Reach the right hand over the body and allow the right side of the back to come back to the mat as the hand reaches behind you. Let's do another one of those, reaching the right hand over to the left, reaching up and over, rolling the upper back to the mat. This time, reaching the right hand up and over, and when the right arm comes alongside the right ear, just resting there. You might feel that this is enough length, enough opening, but if you want a bit more, then pressing the inner right thigh and the inside of the right foot towards the mat. And if you've got more room still, placing the left foot on top of the right thigh, just to increase that feeling of length, that space that you can create, a little extra aid to gravity there. Deep breath in. Long, slow breath out. A deep breath in. Long, slow breath out. When you're ready, uncrossing your legs, bringing your right hand back down to center, bringing your knees back to center, doing a little wiggle from side to side. So, from here, we're just going to do one more gentle posture, but I've left my blocks down by the front of my mat. So grab a block with your feet if you have to. And we're going to lift the hips and slide the block. I want the block on its lowest possible orientation to begin with. Slide that block underneath our sacrum. So the sacrum, many of you will probably know, is the fused set of vertebrae that joins the two hip bones behind the body. So it joins the pelvis to the spine. It's why we feel that those two areas are so connected. But we want to support the sacrum, not the soft part of the body above the hips, which comes more in towards the low waist, and not so much the bottom of the buttocks, but perhaps the top of the buttocks gets supported here as well. So this might be just the ticket for you. You might think, oh, I could be here for ages. Try it with your feet just a little bit further away from your buttocks. And if that feels okay, try sliding one leg to be longer, straighter. And you can let your toes fall out to the side. And if that feels okay, you can slide the other leg long and straight, let those toes fall out to the side, and see if that feels good. If it is beginning to feel a little bit unstable, just replace one foot on the floor with the knee bent so you can open one side of your pelvis at a time. If it feels comfy with both legs straight, or if you just fancy having a go, then you can try with the block on a higher setting. So for that, the feet come to the floor. You press gently into your heels, lift your hips only as high as you need to turn the block so that you're resting onto its long edge. And that edge is right underneath the sacrum, so adjusting if you need to bring it slightly lower or higher. Oh, that's a little bit better for me. And again, you start by taking your feet slightly further away from you to begin with. Maybe that is enough. And it might be that the increased height means that that really might feel quite intense for some people. But if you want to, you can slide one leg long and straight and let the toes fall out to the side. And again, if that feels quite intense but manageable, then keep the other leg bent and you can go between the two sides. But if you like, you can slide both legs long and straight. And if it still feels like you've got room to open into, try this with your arms over your head as well. And so if you're doing alternate sides, take a few breaths on each side, maybe swapping now. And if you're doing both legs together, then taking a few deep breaths. You don't have to be on the highest setting of the block if the lower settings suited you better. After a couple of deep breaths, we're all going to bring our feet on the floor, bend the knees in. Those of you who are on the higher setting, just lifting your hips enough to turn the block. So it's a really subtle lift and turn and lower. And then we'll take 2 more really long, deep breaths here. Then when you're ready, you can gently press into your heels enough just to lift your hips enough to take the block out. And then allow your hips to float their way to the floor. Maybe it even feels like they're floating through the floor. You're ready for a gentle relaxation. Lengthen the legs. The palms are turned upwards, the arms relaxing away from the body. If you feel desperately uncomfortable lying flat on your back, then placing some bolsters or cushions or something underneath the backs of the knees. Gently swaying the nose from side to side. Take a deep breath in, sigh out through your mouth. Make any adjustments that you need to bring your posture to its most comfortable position. And then bring your body to stillness. After yoga, a physical yoga practice as we have done, it's really important to spend a few moments with the body still, the eyes and face relaxed, the effort of the muscles softening and releasing. And that thrumming sensation or vibration that some of you might be able to feel is the energy that we've expanded through from the center of the body to our extremities, or through the koshas if you're familiar with them. And what relaxation does is it allows that energy to come back to our center. If you get straight up now, that energy will be dispersed and you will feel depleted towards the end of your day. But if you give yourself 5 minutes of deep breathing, or simply soft surrendering, your energy is restored to your center and you will feel rejuvenated by your practice. That's the secret of yoga relaxation. If you can stay a little bit longer, please give yourself a little bit of extra time. If you're ready to move, rolling your wrists, your ankles, spreading your fingers, spreading your toes. Take a deep breath in, stretching the body, maybe yawning, stretching the face, bending the knees into the chest, hugging them towards you, doing a little light rocking from side to side. And then when you're ready, you can roll to one side, taking your time. And when you're ready, coming into any comfortable seated pose. Bringing your hands together at the center of your chest. Taking a moment just to give yourself thanks for the time and space to practice, for the nurturing of your muscles, your joints, for the support of your running or any other activity. I wish you namaste. Thank you for joining me for this practice. I hope to see you again sometime.